Welcome back to Studio 42 TV.
Oh, good, thanks. What about yourself?
Good, good. So this is Kevin Nix, the owner and creator of the world's fastest shed.
So this is the world's fastest shed. Something I built out of a scrap car on my drive. I built it based on a 1999 4Motion Passat. So originally it was a 2.8 V6 four-wheel drive. I found out there was a Guinness World Record already for a shed. Well, I could probably beat that, which I duly did. And since then I've actually beaten my record twice. So I've got 3 Guinness World Records on this. But I have changed the engine a couple of times, so I've upped the power. I want to come over that and show you what powers it now. I've squeezed in. This is an Audi RS4 4.2 litre V8. It's stage 2 tuned, been on the dyno. It was at 455 brake horsepower. You can't get much more than that out of this particular engine because it's not turbocharged, normally aspirated. It's its peak power at about 8,000 RPM. So I had this old Passat and it was sat on my drive and I was going to scrap it and it was too good to scrap, so I kind of come up with the idea, as you do, building a shed. That's when I found out there was a Guinness record, so then we got all into the speed and the racing, etc. But the whole thing is all steel frame, so I built quite an elaborate steel frame, and then it's all clad with timber. It's all fully approved, road legal. I've done over 65,000 miles in it now since I built it. Gets incredibly well used. I race events all over the country. I've got remote central locking. I've built my own solenoid door locks with suicide doors. It's incredibly comfortable to drive. I wouldn't have driven it so far if it wasn't. We got a bit of magic. I stand back. We've got a full hydraulic suspension system. So not only does it go up and down, but it also makes it handle incredibly well on the road. It actually has got no body roll, so it makes it comfortable. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how it drives and handles. It's a bit of fun just making it go up and down. I've built quite a few other things as well. How I actually build things is about trying to spend the least amount of money. It's easy to build stuff going buying lots of new bits that all bolt together. I don't. I buy second-hand bits and I make it work. Headlights there off a Jag XJ6. I modify all the frames, put them in there, so the headlights are quite reasonable. It was sort of look that I wanted. To be able to drive this on the road, I had to get an IVA test, so you build it to 299 pages of rules. It's like an MOT, but it takes all day. All lights have to be a certain distance from the ground, a certain distance from the edge. It has to have no sharp edges. The list goes on and on and on. Wipers have to clear enough of the screen. You have to have demisters on it. Obviously I built it to the rules, passed the IVA test, so on my V5, under make and model, it's registered as fastest shed. Q-plate, don't ever be put off of having a Q-plate, they've got quite a few benefits. Now for the MOT, the emissions on this I've done, it's tested as a pre-1975, so it's a visual check only. I don't have to run any emissions things on this, cats, nothing, doesn't matter what it chucks out the back. Oh, the real funny thing is, it was registered in 2016, which means I can legally drive in the middle of London, but because it's Q-plated, I've got no emissions stuff on it. One thing I hear a lot is, you're sat a long way back, purely an optical illusion, because I've got the platform of the original car underneath. The engine's in the same place, dash is in screen coming from there and coming up at this angle, I've moved it all forward and put it upright. So I'm not sat a long way back, and if you look at any car, the backs of the seats are always roughly in between the wheels. Exactly the same as mine. Wing mirrors. So I found these, and these are Land Rover. Actually, the best part of a Land Rover is these wing mirrors. They are brilliant. But also, I don't just rely on the wing mirrors. I've actually got cameras all the way round. I've got a camera there, all these little screens on the dash, the cameras that I've got all the way round. When people look at this and think the vision isn't very good, it's actually got the best vision of anything I've ever driven. It does have some aerodynamics on it. These pipes here, they come through from the front, the entrance at the front, they come through here, because the biggest problem with aerodynamics is the back. So they're there to try and release some of the vacuum. So that helps. I've still got big vacuum here, but it's much better than it was. People say to me, but it's got a V8 in it, and why have you got V6 badges? But then when I open the bonnet, they're always, wow, they've never expected to see a 4.2 litre V7 Audi RS4 engine. Because I could put RS4 V8, but it kind of takes away the wow factor, the surprise, the fun.
What was the first record you set?
Oh, it was probably here at Alvington, which is up in Yorkshire. I have got all of these UK and ITA world speed records. This is for the shed, and I've also got another machine which you may have seen, the Barrow of Speed.
And that fits in quite well in the back.
Yeah, that fits in, that goes in the back. So the fastest speed record, which I've done here on that runway, official record, is a 113.7.
Wow. Is that measured both directions then?
Right,
or?
That was a one-way direction.
Right.
That was the standing start mile. I have done 114.7 out there, but because I did that on a test day, doesn't qualify for a speed record. But as you can see here, you know, 110, 105. So this was 2017. That was on Pendine Sands. So that was on the beach.
Right.
So that was 78 miles an hour. I built the shed, all fully approved, in 2016. The original build took me 7 months.
Well, that's quite quick.
And I built it on my drive.
Wow, yeah.
So I worked with the weather. Yeah, this might not be the shiniest thing. I don't want it to be. I don't want to compete with somebody that's gone and bought a Lamborghini or a Ferrari on HP. I'm not kind of interested.
Yeah.
But if I see a young chap who's built a motorbike and he's managed to gain 1 mile an hour on a speed record, and the achievement and how proud he is. Well done.
You can relate to the effort and time and
yeah. And I've also got Guinness World Records. I hold 5 of those. So this one is 106.123 miles an hour. This was a 2-way run.
Which was the first UKTA record that you set?
70.76 miles an hour. I had the 2.8 V6 in it. The Passat with the original engine. It was about 200 horsepower. I had the 2.8 in it for 2 years. I kind of set myself a goal that I wanted to get it over 100 miles an hour. I started running it on nitrous.
With the V6 Passat engine?
Yeah, when you're racing. Nitrous just gives you more power at the flick of a switch. If you watch Fast and Furious, that sort of thing, when they flick a switch, they're putting nitrous in. But it creates a lot of heat in the engine. Anyway, eventually it just burnt a valve out. It wasn't the biggest thing in the world, but the engine didn't really suit the machine I built. It was alright. Yeah. From there, I built or modified a 2.7 twin turbo. Basically the same engine as the 2.8, but it's 2.7. So they used them in the RS4, they also used them in the Audi Allroad. I bought an Audi Allroad, broke the car, sold enough pieces to get my money back, so I ended up with a free engine. One big tip, always make sure you've sorted your fuel pump and your fuel delivery system out. And how do I know that? There is a story here. Newly built, modified 2.7 engine. Everything mapped correctly. The fuel pump, on paper, could keep up. I was out on this runway, I had a 5-speed gearbox in there, I was in 3rd gear doing 110 miles an hour.
And that was the Passat gearbox?
That was the Passat gearbox, so it's a 5-speed.
Mated with the RS4, the second RS4 engine.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, which was mapped to over 400 brake horsepower.
Right.
I did that. Because it was an older engine, the only mechanical protection it's got was exhaust gas temperatures. So it measures your exhaust gas temperatures. If they start getting too hot, it calls for the fuel pump to deliver more fuel. So it just puts more fuel into the engine to make it richer to cool it, which is alright until your fuel pump can't keep up. And that's exactly what happened.
So it got too hot and then...
That happened in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was coming down the runway and it started to ease up. Oh, it feels like I'm running out of fuel. I don't know why, I glanced in the mirror. All I could see was blue smoke. I thought, oh, that's not, doesn't look good, does it? Engine was still running, so I got off. I come back round to the pits.
Yeah.
So I got out, I opened the bonnet. Yeah, it was on fire. So I quickly ran over, quick, fire extinguisher. It was only a couple of blasts and I put it out.
Yeah.
It was all quite exciting.
yeah.
Oh, people said, you must be gutted, all the work you've done. And I said, well, you know. I said, you've got to find a positive in every situation. They said, what's the positive in this one? I said,
I get to put a new engine in it.
I said, I haven't got to spend £80 on fuel getting home because I'll be going home on the back of an AA wagon. 10 days later, another engine, all built, all back in it, back on the road. That was a 2.7 twin turbo, so that was out of this era of car. Fantastic engines, you can get a lot more power out of them than what I've got it in now. You get 750 brake out of them.
That'd be mad.
But you can have lots of problems. And I thought I'd done everything right. But I spent a whole year keep mending it.
Right.
You know, I'd drive to an event, I'd come back, and then a turbo would have a problem. And the problem was a manufacturing fault.
Right.
That was 16 hours of my life to change them. And it was just constant, but nearly everything was new parts failing. I thought, I've just had enough of this. So I thought, right, that's it, it's coming out. Don't know what I'm going to put in it. It's got to suit many different purposes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I decided on the Audi RS4 out of the B7. That was a 2006. I managed to find an RS4 that got a bit of a checkered past. So I managed to buy it at the right money and done 51,000 miles. But the more important thing was all the goodies were good. The reason I bought it was to sell the bits off, like I did before.
Yeah.
And get my money back, like the seats. I sold the seats within an hour for £2,000. Oh, well on my way already, get my money back.
See, I would have been tempted to put them in here, but I suppose that takes... Are these the original Passat seats?
Yeah.
I suppose that's the whole idea, isn't it?
That's my idea, my way of thinking.
Yeah.
Why do I want fancy seats when these are incredibly comfortable?
Yeah.
You know, I could have put all the RS trim in, I could have put all the RS wire in, I didn't want to do that. So anyway, so with the dash, so with a lot of time and effort, and standing there looking at B5 wiring down, B7, I managed to get everything to work. Go me. It reaches its peak power somewhere between 8,000 and 8,250. That's not bad for a normally aspirated V8.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, when this is on the dyno, the graph, you don't have a curve or anything, it's virtually a straight line.
Yeah.
The more you rev it, the more power you get. So, you know, you have to give it some stick. Right, I've got special permission to take you up there. It won't be a top speed run, but I can go down and we'll give you an insight into the experience of what it's like.
Wicked.
Ready to go?
Let's go. Sounds wicked.
Because it weighs 2.5 tons.
What are the brakes?
turn around when you can. And if those backseat drivers don't keep it down, we'll ditch you at the next server.
First, which I'm not going to do now. And I'll hit second.
It's amazing.
So from that end to here, right, that's half a mile. And I'll be doing about 100 miles an hour, 9800 miles an hour there. And this is where aerodynamics come into it in this. Then on, I just slowly gain a little bit of speed. And then I get to this marker here. No. Right. I would then be doing 104 to 110, depending on the conditions. It isn't like an ordinary car. It is if you drive it steady.
Yeah.
You start pushing it around corners. You've got a lot of weight up there.
Yeah. Do you daily drive, or do you have another car?
Oh, I've got a couple of other cars. I used to take my daughter to school, go shopping in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Well, thank you.